The next important thing that we have to discuss in data handling is pictograph. Now, the pictograph is mainly used by magazines, by newspapers to attract their readers, to attract towards some data that they want to show you. And if you are wondering how, then let's suppose that we have these two different tables representing same information, and the information they are trying to tell you is about the sales of, let's say, buses. Okay, so this is a table without any image or pictures, and it's a simple representation of sales of buses in the months, like in the month of April, in May, in June, in July, in August. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, for 5 months you have sales of buses. In the month of April it's 700, then 5, then 500, then 600, and then 300, and then you have total of 2600 sales of 2600 buses, say from one showroom, or I mean just imagine anything. Okay, and here you have the same information represented using pictograph. Picto means using picture on any image to display the same information. Okay, and each bus, okay, though it's not looking accurately as a bus, but that's okay, that's my poor drawing or whatever. So this is a single bus, and each picture of a bus represent 100 buses. So in the month of April you have sales of 700. In the month of April you have sales of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So each picture of one bus represents 100 buses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 images means what? 700 buses. Similarly, this was for 500, so this is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each image or each picture represents 100 buses, so this is 500 buses. Same thing for this month of June, for July and for August, and then you made the total. Now think, which one is looking better and which one will attract more readers? It's all done, to attract readers. Imagine a magazine particularly about business news or economics news and all, so related to economics and all. So if the magazine is full of such kind of data, okay, if the data contained within the magazine is in the form of tables and all, so don't you think that you'll get bored by only this kind of data if it's represented just in a plain way, and here you have some images associated with it? So which one will attract you more? Which one will you be attracted more? Of course you will say, I'm sure most of you will say that, hey, I'll be attracted towards this one. And some of you can say or may say that, hey, it's okay for me, I'll just want some information, even I'm okay with this also. Okay, in the same way you have this another information that is showing the tourist in different months of April, May, June, July and August. In this case, in April, the tourists, let's suppose in any region or city or town, whatever, were 10,000. Then in May, 5,000. Then in June, 4,000. In July, then 10,000. In August, 11,000. And total is 40,000. Okay, for these 5 months. The same information that is being shown to you here with the help of this plain table, that is frequency table, has been shown using a pictograph. So this picture, okay, one important thing before discussing this one, your images or pictures should be relevant to the data that you want to represent or the information that you want to show or convey to your readers. In this case, we are showing you the sales of buses, so I have used an image that represents a bus. In the same way, here I'm talking about tourists. So one of the picture or image that will be relevant in this condition will be this one. It's completely suitable for this condition to display the information, right? If I would use, this image of bus in this case, that's not relevant here, okay? So it's important that whenever you are trying to display the information using pictograph, the picture or the image that you use should be relevant for that particular information. Second thing, always show that what that image represents in terms of frequency of counts. What count does one image represent? So in this case, one image is 100 buses, and in this case, one smiley or this face represents 1,000 people. Okay, so 10,000 means what? I'll have to draw how many these faces. So of course smiling faces, this is 10 smiling faces. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, right? Similarly, for 5,000 we have 5 images, for 4,000 we have 4 pictures, and then 10,000 we have again 10, and for 11,000 we have 11, right? Each one represents 1,000 people, and the total will come 40,000. Again, which one looks more attractive? So I'm sure most of you will say that this one is looking more attractive. Okay, so what's pictograph? Pictograph is just, it's a kind of data handling only. You record data and then you want to show the information to your readers or anyone using some pictures or images, and that is a pictograph. So this is the first part of discussion. The next part of discussion is also very important. I'm just going to pause this video and I'll make some changes in these information that is being displayed here, okay, in some these images, and we'll add some extra information to tell the next very important point or portion in pictograph. Okay, so here we are again, and I have made some changes in this image, this representation, and in this one, and the changes are like for this one we have here. Can you see the change? Watch what we have made here. We have actually added one more information. Like if this is a full picture of a bus, this is half picture. This picture represents a half of a bus. And why is it important? If the full picture represents the 100 buses, this half bus will represent 50 buses. And if you have to represent this 650, in the first one we had 700, but here if I have to represent 650, and if each bus represents 100 buses, then of course if I draw the half image, the half bus should represent 50 buses. So this is 650. How? 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, and we have added half, so this is 650. In this case it is 450, so that means that 4 full buses and 1 half buses. So if you have only 1 full bus, in this case it represents 100 buses, and if you have to represent some figures like this, 650, 450, so this information should be added, that if you want that your half bus should represent 50 count, then that information should be given here. One. Second, for this representation, this information that has been displayed here, we have made this change, and here half smiling face represents 500 people and full smiling face represents 1,000 people. Same thing what we discussed here, we have made changes just by adding this information. So if I have to represent 10,500 tourists in the month of April, that means if one face represents 1,000 people, so 10,000 will be represented by 10, and this 500 that has been shown here will be represented using this half smiling face. This is 4,500, that means 4 full faces and 1 half smiling face. That makes it 4,500, and then you can calculate it on the basis of how many faces you have here, right? Okay, so in these two representation, we have mentioned here that what does this half bus represents and what does this half face represent. But suppose you have to display information in something like in the terms of range, right? In the month of April, there is no absolute figure, but it's somewhere between 600 to 700. In that case, what you can do is, no need to show information, like maybe that information is not given here, that half bus and all that. You simply, what you have to do is just mention either half or 1/4 of this bus or anything. If nothing has been mentioned here, and this is in terms of range that you are not very clear of, you can represent even the half, or by taking out the little portion of this bus, even that will be completely fine. Similarly here it's 400 to 500, so for 400 to 500 I have represented 4 full buses, and this some the portion of this one bus represents what, tells that range that can lie between uh, uh, between 400 and 500. That's not very clear, so that can be represented in that way. Don't think that it is a half bus. This half image, like in this case, represented what, 50 buses, but here we are not very clear whether it is 430 or 440 or 450 or 486 buses. How much we don't know, so just you can represent it using this, some portion of this image. Similarly here we have to represent 10,000 to 11,000. So 10,000 to 11,000 means what, 10,000 is for sure, but between 10,000 and 11,000, whether it is 10,100, it is 10,200 or what, we don't know that. So the way to represent it will be, one smile face represents 1,000, so 10, and then some portion of this image or this smiling face will represent the range that is between 10,000 to 11,000. That will add that extra 1,000. Similarly here 4,000 to 5,000, so 4,000 is for sure. It's above than 4,000, less than 5,000, but how much we don't know. So 4 complete, and this some portion of that smiling face. Now if you are not if you are not knowing this range, let's say you are not knowing this range, and if someone asks you that, okay, you have only this table, and on the basis of this pictograph, can you tell us how many tourists visited in the month of April? So you can say that it is actually 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 smiling faces means 1,000 people for one, so for 10 smiling faces it's 10,000. And even for this one you can say that, okay, it's 10,500, it's 10,500, you can say that. And even any other person can say that, hey, it's 10,800, even that person is also not wrong. Someone can say that that represents 10,900, right, if this table was not given to you. So what's the best way? The best way is, okay, the number of tourists in the month of April were more than 10,000 but less than 10,000, 11,000, therefore they represent this range. Similar condition for this one, the tourists were more than 4,000 but less than 5,000, better to represent them in the terms of range. So this was all about pictograph. Okay, what 3 conditions were discussed? One with the full image one, next one with some half portion of image where we wanted to represent the 50 portion and this 500 portion, and in the next one we are showing in the terms of range, like 600 to 700, 400 to 500. We haven't represented anything for this one, right, half or the portion of the image, and same thing here.